There's a moment that happens in every property cycle. It's not when prices crash, it's not when prices spike, it's when the market gets quiet. Because quiet markets don't scream at you, they test you. And could this be the direction that the Singapore private residential market is heading as we step into 2026? Now, before we talk opinions, we start with the facts. URA's flash estimate says private home prices rose 0.7% in Q4 2025, bringing the full year move to plus 3.4%. But here's the part that makes people confused. Price growth has slowed down even as new home sales hit a 4-year high. We're talking about more than 10,000 new private homes, excluding EC, sold in 2025. So let me frame 2026 properly in one sentence. The market is still buying, but it's buying with a calculator, not adrenaline. So, if you want to understand 2026 without getting whiplash, you must split the market into two lanes. Lane A, resale condos from private sellers. Lane B, new launches from developer sales. The reason why we're looking at these two lanes is because one lane can look hot while the other looks flat, and both can be true at the same time. You see, the headline index is a temperature reading, not a diagnosis. That full year plus 3.4% growth number is the big market temperature, but it's not telling you where the heat is coming from. In 2025, the heavy lifting came from landed. Landed prices jumped 7.7%, while non landed rose 2.4%. So if someone quotes you the headline and says everything is up, no, that's not how this works. Going forward to 2026, it is all about segments, and segments behave differently. Now let's go lane by lane. Lane A, resale condos. Resale in 2026 is going to be about one word: comparison. Buyers are no longer comparing condo versus condo. They're comparing new launch premiums versus resale reality. And the market already showed you hints of price resistance where affordability and value are being questioned. Now, here's the interesting part. How can resale markets stay active in 2026, even if people say supply is rising? You see, there will be more new homes completed next year, and that is expected to invigorate and sustain buyer interest in the secondary market. That sounds counterintuitive until you think like a market. Completions create movement, movement creates options, options create transactions, and in resale, transactions create new price discovery. So in resale condos, 2026 is a year where pricing becomes less about hope and more about positioning. If you're a seller, your real competitor might not be the unit next door. It might be a glossy new launch down the road. And if you're a buyer, resale becomes the lane where you ask, is this priced like a home or priced like a headline? Next, let's explore Lane B, new launches. The fact says demand was strong, more than 10,000 new private homes sold in 2025. But here's what changed late in the year. The pipeline thinned. Around 2,580 new units were launched in Q4, a pullback from 4,191 units in Q3. And this is where 2026 becomes tricky for developers. Strong sales encourage developers to bid up land prices, and rising land prices can flow into higher selling prices at launch later on. At the same time, government land supply signals matter. First half of 2026 GLS confirmed list is estimated at around 4,500 homes, down from around 4,700 in second half of 2025 and around 5,000 in first half of 2025. Hence, you can tell confirmed supply is not expanding. And in 2026, the new launch lane faces a squeeze. Construction and land costs want prices higher. Buyers want value. And value is now being compared to resale more aggressively. That's why I expect project by project outcomes. Great projects, great pricing discipline, strong sell through. But if a launch overreaches, the market won't crash. It will simply pause. And that pause is deadly to momentum. Now let's talk about the handbrake for both lanes, because this is the part that can change market mood fast. Household mortgage loans grew 5.2% year on year in Q2 2025, and private homes have outpaced incomes with a price to income ratio of 14.6x in 2024 versus the long term average 13.4x. So that means policy risk isn't just theory. And when respondents were asked what might tighten next, the expectation leaned heavily toward macroprudential tools such as LTV tightening, MSR stricter limits, and TDSR tighter restrictions, even more than ABSD hikes. So, what does that translate to? The government doesn't have to touch prices directly. They can reduce oxygen, and oxygen in property is leverage. Another commentary explicitly flags risk of tighter borrowing limits to rein in excessive borrowing amid low rates. So, what's the fair base case for 2026? Analysts expect private home prices to grow 2% to 5% in 2026, and sales volumes are expected to ease around 23,500 to 25,500 private homes, excluding EC, in 2026, slightly down from an estimated 26,300 to 27,200 in 2025. So here's my honest, balanced projection. 2026 is not a boom year. It's not a crash year. It's a year where the market asks you to stop speaking in headlines and start speaking in lanes. The first lane, resale condos, value, positioning, comparison against new launch premiums. The second lane, new launches, strong demand, but outcomes will be selective. Pricing must be defensible. And I'll leave you with this. In a roaring market, you can be wrong and still make money. In a quiet market, you can be right and still lose if you overpay. So don't ask, will prices go up? Ask the better question, which lane am I in? And am I paying for fundamentals or for headlines? My name is Picasso. If you want, tell me CCR, RCR, OCR, and whether you're looking at resale or new launch, and I'll help you map the facts to a real decision. Whether you are a seller or a buyer, remember to check out SingaporePropertyLens.com to have a clear online assessment and receive your instant diagnostics results. Check it out and let me know what your scores tell you.